What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Road to 150. You know, I'm gonna say it one more time. Road to 150, because it's a freaking cool day. We got a new contest. I'm so stoked. Um, Hope, how you doing today?
It's an exciting day, man. I love this new contest. I love that Underdog is not being complacent. They're not letting things get stale in the space, and they're launching something we haven't seen before, right? It's super cool. I mean, all the discussion. We're in a couple of group chats together with other best ball grinders, and just being on Twitter and Discords, like just the discussion about this new format. It's so much fun, and that's what I love at the end of the day. Like I do love having player takes, don't get me wrong, but this game theory, this like figuring out the puzzle is the stuff I love about playing this type of fantasy. And so I'm so excited. I'm excited to get into it tonight. I'm excited to like talk about some of these theories here. I'm excited to see what the chat has, some of their favorite theories they've got early on. It's gonna be a blast.
Uh, just a quick disclaimer. Well, not disclaimer, but apologies to our Android brothers and sisters. I know you guys are not able to hop in on your phone, but it's okay. If you're on show and you're watching with us today, it's late at night for you. It's late for night for me. You can draft with us on your computer. What? That's gonna be great.
Yeah, fire up the
Um,
old desktop.
we get to fire the old desktop. So before we get started, obviously the quick question of the day is, how do you feel about weekly winners? Everybody. And secondly, like we've had a couple hours to sit with there. So what's your takes? What's your thoughts? Let's come up with some ideas, some tips for the viewers. Say some shit out loud. Maybe when you say it out loud, it sounds better or it sounds dumb. Who knows? Let's like kind of spitball. How are you taking the weekly winners? How do you feel about it? What's your? Let's go. Let's shoot. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to hear from the chat, but then for mine, let's. I want to fire some of the initial takes to you that are more viable in this format. So
Mhm.
a lot of people have discussed it already, but one QB, one tight end seems to be a lot more viable, especially with the elites. Like you do a Lamar Andrews, and that's it at those positions. You do a Mahomes Kelsey, obviously. So do you think you'll be doing a lot of onesies, true onesies positions, or are you gonna try and do two? Like, what's your thoughts there? I've seen kind of both sides of the argument, and I can kind of get it from both. But what are you doing in that scenario?
I think when it comes to doing onesies and twosies, or onesies, not twosies, um, it comes to just the best players. Okay, so if I was to grab, and I did a lot of the numbers already when I was doing it for another research, Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, right? I was like, well, how far apart is Patrick Mahomes from Joe Burrow? How viable is he? Well, the answer is he was only viable 3 games for a total of 36 points out of 17 weeks. So in 17 weeks, not including bye weeks, Joe Burrow was useful to you 3 times. And that's Joe Burrow. That was like QB 5 to 6. It could have been quarterback, 5 if he would have played a full season, right? He missed week 17 due to the game
So
being
are you
shut down.
talking about like top two finishes
I'm
or top
talking
one
about
finish?
like top one. I'm talking that Patrick Mahomes is in his own category.
Yeah,
Next, and I would say Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and for the guys
John.
who are projecting some things into Jalen Hurts would be my third. I Patrick Mahomes, if you look at his like last 3 seasons, and talked to this a couple weeks ago with Rob Coakley, was like, hey, he breaks these thresholds like on a ridiculous base, 300 yards, like on a
Yeah.
ridiculous basis. And there's only a few guys that do that, right? It's just Mahomes, followed by Travis Kelsey at tight end. There's only one of these guys. So I think if I was to do a onesies, those are the guys I want to do with. And this whole thing was to lead to Kelsey, and where Andrews I don't think is a one-off. I don't believe that Andrews can be a onesies at tight end. There has never been a tight end in fantasy football that has done what Kelsey has done at the length and consistency that Kelsey has done it. Andrews has had down years. Darren Waller had multiple down years. TJ Hawkinson has up and down years. Dallas Goddard has up and down years. Kyle Pitts, we have no idea what to do with him. So when it comes to like, am I cool with just running Andrews? The answer is no, because he had a contribution rate on I think 50% of the season.
Yeah, Lamar also played like 50% of the season. So
Yeah,
and I
true.
know like injury is an easy cop out, right? It's a super easy one. But for me, I'm totally fine with the Lamar Andrews as a onesie. I actually already have a team where I only took each of them because I think I'm a little bit more okay with knowing. look, this roster may only have a chance of hitting 3 to 4 times. It may be more, depending on the games when both Lamar and Andrews go off. But I think like my build was like a 1-8-8-1 with those two, right? And so I'm giving myself 8 shots at running back, 8 shots at receiver to get the nuts when Andrews and Lamar go off. And so I'm fine with doing it with them. I know it's a little thinner. It's a little bit thinner of a bet. You're not going to have as many weeks and opportunities for that lineup to win. But I just think I love that that's kind of the Galaxy Brain stuff that you can do in this new format. I want to answer this real quick. If you don't have it working for you, you might be on Android. I know it wasn't working there. If you're on Apple, you have to go into search Underdog app in the App
And
Store,
actually tap the app. Yeah.
manually tap update if it's not there for you. Let's see.
So, like I said, I agree. I think with quarterback, I think there's a couple thresholds for it, right? Mahomes is probably the biggest, followed by Josh Allen. I think you can get all the way down to maybe about Lamar is where I would consider, and maybe Joe Burrow, where I would consider like the solo quarterbacks. I think there's like 5 to 6. Tight end, I really think it's just Kelsey because and here's the thing, you don't really lose much for adding that second tight end that has upside or could be like I was looking at some of my rosters last year and it's like TJ Hawkinson had like a 20 to 30 point game or something ridiculous. Like you get these guys that can really like chime in and do well. And we know that tight end can outproduce some of the bottom end receivers, right? We know that there's like a lot of starting level tight ends that could be your tight end that push your Mike Andrews, that push your TJ Hawkinson, that push your Kyle Pitts and Kelsey into your flex. So we know that there's an advantage for doing that. I think quarterback, I would definitely be sound to do one QB.
Gotcha. I think that's totally fair. I like this build too. 1-6-10-1. And really, like if you get a couple of those early running backs to go with your elite and then just firing receivers, I like that. There's so many builds that are viable. And this, I've seen some people suggesting like a 1-3, what would that be, like 12-1? Or
I just don't know why we have
13-1
to
or
push so
something.
hard to receiver though. Like how many receivers are we trying to really shoot for?
Well, I just think because it's so hard to get, what the elite of the elite receivers can do. Those 30, 40-point games, you rarely do see those from your back end guys. And so just giving yourself more shots at that versus, running back, if you get, a 0 RB target that just gets volume one week, they can put up 20, right? And kind of just get there versus receiver putting up those 30-point games are pretty rare. So having more shots at it, I think is why you would do that. Especially if you start with like Mahomes, Kelsey, right? And you've missed out on the top 2-round receivers, trying to fire and match that. I'm not sure what error you're having then. I hope it could work here when I try and enter. I'm not sure.
I guess we'll have to see a little bit more. I'm gonna go. I've been going through my old rosters to see what my top 1.5% teams are doing on a weekly basis. We discussed a little bit, but like
yeah,
I saw that like everyone's talking about a lot of correlation. I think correlation is gonna play out, but I had a roster and I sent it to our chat. Like it was like the number 3 puppy team, right? I bring back myself this a lot. But it scored like over 180 4 different times on a weekly basis. So 4 out of its 16 weeks, it went up. No, 4 out of 14 weeks, it went above 180, or something like that. It went above 180, and then one of the team weeks it went 195, and then I had a playoff team that went 200, or basically went 200 points. So I think like trying to figure out, for me, I'm gonna be pushing more for. I think one quarterback is very sound, knowing that elite is just that much of an advantage.
Yeah.
But I do think there is some viability to just maybe playing a little bit different and picking up like, I hate to say it, but like Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones, or like these 2 guys that might just cost you nothing that could be 30 burgers.
No, I think they're. I think it's all different and viable. I don't think I'm not going into every draft. I think I gotta do a 1 QB build.
Yeah. I will say this much: I think elite tight end is like a must. I think if you're not getting Goddard plus, it's I think you're playing from behind a little bit here and there, because those guys are like 15-point tight ends, right? You're talking about Goddard, Pitts, and etc. Those guys are all like 15 burgers or better at the tight end position, or a possibility at it. So I want those guys. Taysom Hill, things like that. So
fair enough. I'll answer this. I think I actually was pretty positive on the payout structure personally. Like, 10% of first to 10th is pretty good. It's pretty flat in the fantasy space, and then top 20 gets 1,000. So if you do max. I mean, you get one top 20 and you get half your entries back. Derek asking what they, some of them.
Of course.
Of
James
course
Conner,
they are.
man. James Conner's been the hot topic of the week. I've seen like 7 streams. So I'm like, oh,
Najee
James
too.
Conner, this.
Najee's been
James. No, but he's been hated on.
everywhere.
He's been hated on every
Well,
stream. But James Conner's
there's
been
some of you guys there to
positively.
take up the shield for him.
It's like 1 in 5. I feel like the guy that's like a vegan at a restaurant. Like nobody wants to like hang out with me when I talk about Najee. I'm like, like, oh yeah, we can't take this guy out to dinner. He wants to eat vegan, like it just sucks. Um, so I just think it's tough right now. We're gonna have to figure this out. I do think DR is a real thing. Um, I think elite tight end is probably way more needed than we're giving credit to it.
Yeah,
And
I actually want to bring something up that I
go
found
ahead.
really interesting when it comes to correlation. I don't have it pulled up right in front of me, but Bime4 tweeted earlier. He kind of went back through looking at the QBs and tight ends that finished number one on the week, and 6 out of 17 weeks, the QB and tight end from the same team finished first as at the position, which makes sense, right? Like we would expect that, but I just think it drives home like how important the stacking is with the elite tight ends, or even not with elite tight ends. There were a couple weeks Cole Kmet was the tight end one when Fields was the
I was
QB
saying it was
one.
Kokomet, right? It was one of those, I believe.
Yes,
Twice,
and
twice.
but most of them were the elite tight ends. So I think getting those elites at the onesies is super important in this. And there was even a 7th week where Mahomes was the QB2 by 1 point, but Kelsey had like 25, and so it would have been
I think
another one. So essentially, it's like you can kind of
without
split
counting
and say half
Kelsey,
of the weeks,
yeah.
the number one QB and the number one tight end were for the same team. And so that's why I'm really going to be trying to correlate my tight ends a lot with my quarterbacks in these,
So did the
which
data
we do
show?
anyway for the most part.
Did the data show anybody without Kelsey though? Like how were all the tight ends like?
Yeah,
Let's say it's
I'll
7 games.
pull
Were
it
they
up.
all Kelsey teams? Were they
No,
5 of them? Okay.
no, they weren't. Let me find it here.
Yeah. If it was like I'm assuming one of them had to be Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson. Sorry, Kirk Cousins and Hawkinson. I assume the other one was probably
So
Trevor Lawrence
there were
and
two.
Evan Ingram.
There were 2 Lamar Andrews, 2
Okay, that
Fields
makes sense.
Kmet, 1 Mahomes Kelsey, which technically 2 if you count the time Mahomes
We
threw
will
2.
definitely should count that.
One Golf Hawkinson and 1 Lawrence Ingram. And
Huh,
so
so
yeah,
I
2
was we were
Lamar Andrews.
that was a good
I
guess.
mean,
We got it pretty right.
yeah, it's all the elites essentially. So
Yeah.
um,
All the elites plus Kokomet is what you wanted to say.
all the elites plus Cole Kmet. Yeah. But yeah, so
That's
correlate your tight ends with your quarterbacks in not only weekly winners but also regular best ball is good rule of thumb. But
I think you see one thing I've been trying to do, and luckily I've been doing my projections ahead of time. And I've said this before, I can't project everything this year. That's been really tough with a lot of quarterback changes and team changes. But when I project a lot of my numbers, there's a lot of guys I would aim for this. And these, to be honest, these are guys I straight up don't like. Like I don't like Mike Williams. I don't like Gabe Davis too much. I'm not an MVS guy. But these are the kind of guys I kind of want to throw into. I think stacking probably like 70% of your team and having like 30% flyers is going to pay like these randomly huge dividends. Like
yeah,
Taysom Hill, right? Like you're going to tell me you're going to correlate Taysom Hill. You know what I mean? Like no one's going to correlate Taysom. We're just going to throw him in there and be like, if Taysom Hill, does what he did last year, which was like 6 out of 17 games, give me 20 burgers, like
yeah,
you probably won that position 30% of the season.
yeah, it's
So
awesome. No, he's great in this format. Yeah, definitely taking more shots, not worrying as much about consistency or getting contribution. We really need those high upside weeks here to get into that top 10, top 20 where all the money is.
I mean, last but not least on that topic that we were talking about, like someone commented earlier that they didn't like the payout for this. Just so you know, it's 3% of the entire field. 2.8% gets paid every week. You get 17 shots, and to top it off, if even your worst team gets in that top 2.8% one time, which is very possible, by the way, it pays for 2/3 of its own. Pays for it. It gives you back $10 on your 15. I feel like if you're in this space and you're grinding already, you have such an advantage. This is a big tournament. This is 260,000 people. There's going to be a lot of casuals in this thing. They're going to be like, "Oh, I could do this," and so I feel like we're discrediting a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Last but not least, I always ask this question: would you draft Jameson Williams in this 6-game suspension?
Of
You going
course.
for it?
Of course. It doesn't matter in this. It doesn't Kyler Murray, I drafted him earlier when I don't usually, because if he gives me 1 week and it's week 15, it's week, that's all I need from him, right? And I happen to already have Marquise Brown, and he fell I don't really care. Also, ADP is something to discuss in this. Like, I honestly don't care as much about it in this. I am building these, and this is something too we haven't talked about yet. But I am building most of these lineups kind of like the way we build DFS lineups or battle royale lineups, where they're telling a story essentially, right? Like, this is my pathway to first. It's the Mahomes Kelsey week, and then I've got the Flyers to get me there. The few weeks they go off, Lamar Andrews. So, um, that's the way I'm trying to build these. I want each of my lineups to kind of tell a story, a pathway to first, and that's the way we build a lot of DFS stuff and battle royale stuff. So, I do think though it is such a big contest that it's all thrown into one. You are going to have to be pretty perfect each week, and so you're muted.
I was saying it's top 2 8%. That's a real thing.
Yeah. No,
All
it
right.
is.
So you guys want to hop in? You want to do this? You want
Yeah.
to knock this out? We'll
All
keep
right.
talking while we
I'm
go.
entering now.
Go.
5 more.
5 more.
Awesome.
The
We're in
weekly
the same
winners.
one. Man, I just realized I have the week 16 and 17 matchups still pulled up. I'm not gonna need that.
But yeah, so I know we were talking about this for a second, but like we're not paying attention to ADP as much. I've been seeing some weirdness in these drafts, just like it's gotten out of hand. I was in a draft where like Russell Wilson fell like 50 down picks down ADP. Like 50. Like I was like, what happened? Like you're telling me Kenny Pickett and it was like a bunch of rando QBs were being drafted ahead of him. I was like, all right, let's pull back now, guys. Like he's not that terrible in this system. He actually could be pretty good here. I'm the 102. You're the 105.
Nice. I actually don't if you're in here, let us know. I don't recognize as many of the names.
We got most hated 13. Don't know what that is. We got Chris in here. Got David in here. BestBall Vipers. I think I know what that is.
I know that name.
Oh, he's it. It's not I know. Oh, you know what it is? The podcast people don't have access to this still, so they probably be able to hop in.
I mean, most people do. Just not Android users.
They are a good chunk of the population, okay, friend.
Are they?
There's some. I'm assuming it's like at least 20 to 30%. I couldn't think that's
pretty
like.
High.
Yeah, exactly. I
don't
wouldn't think
know.
it's
You're
like.
probably right.
20, 30% of our viewership cannot participate in this, right? That'd be the idea. Come on, Jeffersons. All right. Do I want Kelsey? I haven't actually done Kelsey yet. You know what? I'm gonna spruce it up. Let's get me some Kelsey. Ball Android users are like kickers. They're people too, okay?
Pick 9 dudes in here. Nice.
Oh, see, Massive Function got 4.
You did go. I like it. Going Kelsey.
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, so.
Ooh,
it is really hard
or
to
Hill. I am doing Cup. Give me that.
I would do Cup all day.
Yeah. This is cool too. I saw this point made, I think, by Hayden too. Like, this is a cool format where, like, if you loaded up on Cooper Cup last year, and then he got injured after week 10 or whatever it was, you still had a chance at really, hitting those first 10 weeks. You weren't just dead after that. So I think that stuff's really cool too. Like, if you have a big stand who gets injured midway through the season, you at least had a chance still to realize that edge, So I think that's really cool.
Like I said, you have a chance to have your team pay you back at least 2/3, if not more, on every given week basis. You're not waiting until week 17 to get paid or week 15, 16. Like, you have every week shot to really make some money here. And yes, the odds are not in your favor, but the idea is that you're drafting a ton, and you would be surprised. Like, I don't go into seasons going like I'm gonna draft like 10 top 1.5 teams on a year. This year I did, right? But last year I didn't, and I was surprised how often I hit that. So draft like you're trying to win every week, or trying to win just in general, and you'll be surprised. Even the worst teams will pop up. I think it was you. What was the stat line you gave to me from the Texans? Was it Chris Matthews or something? Some random receiver.
Moore last year had a 10 reception, 130-yard game. Like, it's just random stuff like that'll happen. I mean, we see it all the time. We'll take a look at like the winning lineup in the Millie Maker and DFS, and it's like, how did this person come up with this lineup? And we know it's probably an optimizer throwing something randomly together, but
I mean,
or the Deion Jackson game.
Yeah, that was another one too.
Had like 40 points in week 6.
If you're the who's it? Isaiah Spiller? Was that the guy who got was he's a Lion now? No.
Who?
Who's the Lions running back that used to be a Charger?
Justin Jackson?
Justin Jackson. If you're the Justin Jackson guy, you got, those random no competitions because nobody else had Justin Jackson. Like it'd be surprising. Hell, maybe I'll take some Joshua Kelly this year. Who freaking knows? This is like such a cool
I've picked him a
contest.
couple times. Not in
I pick
this.
him up a lot in actually Puppy twos.
Yeah.
He's a very solid ad if you think he's this true backup.
That's another thing too. I think in these, like true handcuffs have a lot more value as well. Getting a versus a pass catching back, like when you need someone who can really get all of the work in a week versus someone who, even if the starter went down, they wouldn't get that full role.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, this contest has been cool. I'm definitely digging it. I'm curious of what it's actually gonna work. I do think we're gonna probably have like this overblown proportion though, like week one when some guy wins. It's like, see, I told you taking like it's gonna be like week one. It's gonna be the weirdest teams that win, and it's just gonna people are gonna point to them.
Yeah.
I wait for the guy that wins twice. That's the one that's gonna excite me because that's gonna be like, I told you.
True. Like I'm just so excited to see what wins, what crazy lineups. Like there's gonna your Patrick Mahomes gets sniped.
You son of a bee.
Not cool. Too cool, rad. Josh Allen didn't
That's fancy dysfunctional.
Oh,
I thought we were friends, man. Yeah, I'm out here trying to.
Hey, you said it. Patrick Mahomes was a tier above everyone when it comes to consistency, regardless of if. And there were so many times too, like he still put up 30, and Kelsey had 12, 10. He is the QB1 in this format.
I've been taking a lot of Pollard. I'm not even a like I said, this is a format where some of the guys I don't normally take, I'm taking them.
Pollard is great
because
in this.
Yeah, he's exactly what you want in this.
Functional. I don't blame you. Just giving you a hard time.
You could pass on it, actually. You could have just said no. You could have said no to drugs, my man.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, Pollard is great for this, and we saw some of just massive 40-point weeks he had last year.
Pollard, not still the biggest guy in Olave, but he does have a good path to like at least being like his own wide receiver one on his team with a good quarterback. Guys like this, I want ones. I want guys above crappy A dots. Like I'm not, I get it. Like Deebo Samuel had like a crappy A dot and did amazing things, but I want above A dot guys. I want 12-yard guys, 13, 14. These are the people I want. Less Keenan Allen, more Mike Williams, Mari Cooper, Christian Watson, Terry McLaurin. Like, I feel like a lot of these guys are going to go undervalued. A lot of people are going to be taking. I saw Chris Godwin, I think, fall like 25 picks on a draft once, and I'm like, what was going on? I was like, sheesh. So I saw Tyler Lockett fall. I have no idea why Tyler Lockett would fall. He's a deep shot guy all day.
For sure.
Brees Hall. Brees Hall's a guy I would take in this if I thought he was going to be healthy. I would take Brees Hall all day in this.
Yeah, I think Brees is a great pick in this one, we're at. I think there is a chance he still is healthy. Week 1. I am still worried about the Dalvin Cook stuff there a little bit, but I think he's a great pick regardless.
We're not taking 150 today, but the idea if I was to though, and I thought Brees Hall was like, we know where the Dalvin's not there. Like Brees Hall's probably a guy I would take for this. I would say like screw the injuries. Like I'm gonna run it deep with him.
Yeah, I mean I'm still doing that a little bit in regular. Like I don't think. I mean, in worst case he's gonna miss 4 weeks maybe, and I don't even think he's gonna be that honestly. I feel like the most recent reports have been pretty positive, unless they bring in Dalvin Cook. Then that would change a lot.
The person I haven't been taking still is DeAndre Swift, though. That's one guy that like you think you would take him in this. The idea is you should, and I'm just like, nah, screw Josh Swift. Like I just still can't take him. Even in this format, I still cannot take DeAndre Swift. I've taken James Cook a couple times, Damien Harris, Rashad Penny, but I will not take DeAndre Swift still.
Yeah, in this, there's so many different strategies that can work, but stacking full divisions, like you said, because you'll get 6 games out of each of them is a really good strategy. So there's kind of several different things you can do with that. Good tiebreaker having, just getting someone who plays, one or a few players on your roster can't hurt.
We talked about this on our chat earlier, but like before I bring up mine, have you looked at any of the weeks that you're interested in?
A little bit. I'm done more of the division stacking stuff first. I've
Okay.
kind of looked at like the week 7, week 13 stuff and anti-stacking it. So because you're gonna have a clear path to first if you
Yeah.
do that. But I am more so doing division stacks and like bigger team stacks than the week stuff. Do you have a week picked out that you really
So
like?
not that I like them, but it's kind of for like maybe they not a real reason. But week one, uh, so week one made me laugh because we know that like defenses don't have schemes on each other. Like basically, coaches have no idea what other teams are realistically doing. So week one's has always kind of have like these really random high scoring games. And I looked at a couple of them. I looked at and you guys are gonna laugh, but like, tell me if these don't sound like high scoring games. Chargers Dolphins, right? Like Chargers Dolphins sounds like a high scoring game, right? What was the other one I had? It was like Tampa Bay and the Minnesota Vikings, right? Like that sounds like another like pretty good game to have, right? Like could be a random shootout, like just keep it really goofy. There was another one too that I was like kind of interested into. It was a team that plays a bad team. It was like or another one's like the Cowboys versus the Giants. You know, like those are like three games like you could easily target that aren't
Yeah.
really like synchronized because people aren't considering those kind of, and just be like, I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna go with it and see what
Going
works out.
all in on week 1.
And here's the thing: they're still high-powered offenses. It's not like I'm saying, "Oh, I'll just grab week one and like
Sure.
YOLO," but these are like straight up high-powered offenses that are probably taken differently, right? If you start grabbing, let's say, like Charger plays early, maybe somebody pulls off of Herbert. Maybe somebody pulls off of like some of the Bronco guys because they're like, oh, screw it, this guy took some of the guys that I wanted from this stack, so they'll start pivoting. But like, if you, but no one's probably thinking about like how many teams are gonna have a buttload of Chargers and like Dolphins,
No, that's fair.
and
I think
and
that's
then the
smart.
and then Ravens week one, I think they go against the Texans. Like I would probably take the Ravens to stomp out the Texans week one. Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson would be another game. I would just have these guys. I would just have them. Screw it, right? So that was another game I was considering looking at too.
I think that's totally fair.
It's a little weird. Like I said, I know it's a little bit like maybe it doesn't sound too conventional, but it's like high-powered offenses and good system. Yeah, see, smash. I'm banking on probability. David's agreeing. Like, yeah, like that's the way to go. Um, I don't know. I think people are gonna find that a little bit too much, but I would probably do that because some people are gonna try to stack divisions. I feel like this is a big thing that's coming up: stacking divisions,
Yeah,
stacking
yeah.
bye weeks. But I think stacking just high-powered offenses that are gonna face each other that are not as correlated might randomly get there. Because worst case scenario, you still have Tyreek Hill. Worst case scenario, you still have like Lamar Jackson for the rest of the season, but you're probably banking on them in a really weird way. Oh shoot, my pick's up again.
You
Who I
are
want?
up.
Uh, Damn, there's like nothing going on. All right, I shoot, Mike Williams. I hate Mike Williams, but screw it. Yeah, I got Mike Williams. Fuck. I was thinking about. No, it won't let me pick.
Oh, you got DJ
No,
Moore.
it wouldn't let me click him. I was clicking him. Oh, whatever. I like Mike Williams on these, as much as I hate him. DJ Moore is my second choice. I do think he gets a good year this year, though, but we'll see.
That's totally fair. Let's see. I've got a Cincinnati stack so far and a little bit of NFC West going on. We'll see. I was going to take Mixon if he came back, but he did not. So let's see. Man, I'm just going to take the Gibbs fall. I think he's perfectly fine in this. He's going to have some really big spike weeks. And so I don't have to worry about his consistency.
Yeah, his efficiency numbers. If you believe he's an efficiency guy that can do it on 15, then you're gonna get games where he does it in 15,
I
right?
almost picked Kenneth Walker there to continue out the Seattle bet I had going on, but I do think that is more of a normal best ball play because, like, obviously DK Metcalf and Kenneth, if the Seahawks score 40 in a game, Kenneth Walker can score 2 on the ground and DK Metcalf can catch 2. Like, that's could still happen. But I do think it's a little thinner to like finish first of a 260,000 person contest. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'll have to think more about it and look into it.
Um, Right now, I have Pollard, Olave, Drake, DJ Moore, Kelsey. Like I just took the ones. I'm just like taking your guys' ones. I'm taking the team's ones. Taking the offense funnelers. Like I believe the offense is gonna funnel through
That's
like this
smart.
player, do that player. Like I don't know if my methodology is gonna be correct. Like I in no way believe so. But I do, and this is gonna be like kind of we're making fun of this last week, but like I'm gonna take best player on board, right? I'm just kidding, no, but like best player available that, but like upside. I'm not gonna go with this guy's gonna get me consistently 12. I want these like alpha type guys, and like I said, I am not a Pollard guy, but I think in my last out of my 4 drafts that I have, and then this is my 5th one, Pollard's on 3 of them, and I think I took him at pick 13 in one of them. I took like CeeDee Lamb, Pollard. I was like, I'm gonna just go freaking ham on these like dual threat guys with that are efficiency or whatever. Pollard fits that category. So this is all. This is part of the fun of this draft is this contest is we're playing this way different than we normally would.
Yeah, it's super fun game theory process. This was fun. This week, I mean, we remember the week when he scored 5 touchdowns. It was a fun week if you're like playing DFS, like myself, who only plays like 3 lineups each week in small field, and I had Mixon on 0. It was like, all right, well, I'll close the app and see you guys next week.
Damn it! I want a Traylon. That was a good one. I want the ones these breakout guys too. I love these type of players.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. Oh, I was gonna go Tyler Lockett there
Yeah.
to keep up that bet. Let's see. People are kind of falling down the board. I don't love anyone here. I'm actually just gonna take Madison. I think I'm getting more into him. ETR is getting me on board.
Hate his fucking guts. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but he makes sense. Like he makes
Yeah.
sense, especially if you think he's like
And
that
in
3 down. He
NFC
could be
North
the
as
dual
well.
threat guy.
Yeah, I mean, he every time he's been given a chance, he's smashed. I would like a little bit more correlation on this, but it just really hasn't fallen to me yet.
There goes the Mike Evans pick. That would have been nice too. I know people are not gonna like this.
I
As much
love
as I'm a,
Damian Pierce.
yeah, some people are not gonna be a fan of that pick. I think Damian Pierce, his range of outcomes are like not my favorites. But if I believe that the Houston Texans are scoring points in any way, shape, or form, I believe it's through Damian Pierce. Like I cannot sit there and go like John Mechie is gonna have like an amazing season, or Nathaniel Dell, or like Nico Collins, or Robert Woods. Like none of those guys scream these guys are having good. What I think that's gonna happen is they get the efficiency numbers up. They can stay on the field multiple times, and then Damian Pierce plots his way into a touchdown. You
Yeah.
know, Plotter McGee. See, like, the real alpha. Duh, gotta get my real alphas up in here.
Your boy Gabe. Like it.
Telling you, dudes I don't like, I'm taking. I straight up. This is like the average people of guys. Like, anybody who's been watching our stream, straight up like DJ Moore and maybe some like Pierce bets or maybe London. Like you guys know, I'm not like grabbing a ton of Pollard or Pierce and Olave and like these Gabe Davis and Travis Kelsey. I don't think I've ever taken Kelsey on our streams. Like ever since I don't think I
Davis
have
is
been.
out here like, yeah, I hate all these guys who are fun picks with high upside. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No,
I know why you're not.
These are all my upside
Keep
guys.
betting on Minnesota.
Yeah, I was considering taking Addison too. I was like, I like the fact that he could pick up down those.
Yeah, I've got Minnesota. They're gonna play Detroit twice. Use that as a little bit of a tiebreaker there because I didn't have anyone else I really loved at that pick.
You also have an easy out too to get Kirk Cousins for like basically nothing.
Yeah.
Does your team have a quarterback already? Yeah,
I have Burrow with Higgins. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can still get him, and you would also get the correlation for Week 15.
I do plan. Yeah, I mean, if I can get Kirk coming back, I will. Well, probably be 2 picks actually.
I think one thing that is being a little undervalued for a lot of the guys is the middling running backs. I get that people want to play a lot of these upside guys, but I also just want to throw like the reminder that some of these like middling guys like Miles Sanders, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery, like they could be guys that just get 2 touchdowns, right? Like 2 touchdowns and 80 yards, and like that is probably one of the better scores that week. I've seen a lot of Sanders falling lately, and I'm like, yeah, like he kind of has the backfield to himself. You don't need to be healthy. He's good enough. At pick 83, like was that bad? I don't think it was. I think it's an amazing pick. I I do have concerns about Rashad White, but like once again, same argument. Like if you think he's a guy on the field doing 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, like it's upside.
Yeah, I don't know. He is tough because he's not that much of a breakaway guy.
No, not at all.
Yeah, shout out Vapor. Gently tap the like button. We would appreciate it. Like, subscribe if you are new watching us. We really appreciate it. It does mean a lot. Yeah, thank you guys so much for the people who have. Let's see here.
I've taken some Odell. Have you taken Odell? this
I did take him on a Ravens stack because what if week 1 he scores 2 touchdowns? Like, we
against the
only
Texans, right?
we
Like,
don't need him for the playoff weeks, right? Like, yeah,
yeah,
against the Texans. Like, we don't need him for then. They paid him $15 million. They're probably going to run him out there in 2 wide receiver sets until he, either proves he doesn't still have it or maybe he does. We'll see. I think he's more valuable. Yeah, I mean, you can use him in those early weeks. I don't want a ton of him in this contest, but
yeah.
I think he's
But
fine.
if you ever have an excuse though to do it, this is the contest to be like, because people forget like Odell when he was the Brown, he did have like a 30-point game, being like this random gadget guy too. Like it was super goofy. Yeah, assuming that he's as good as he was like we know he's a taller guy. He could be the red zone threat. You buy touchdowns. You buy touchdowns and buy upside. Like I said, I would take Odell in this. I did it once already. I threw up a little bit, but I did it anyways.
Threw up a little bit.
I did. I was like, oh, I just took this guy across.
Let's see, who are you thinking here? I just went Boyd to get my double stack with Burrow. But he goes higher in this than he does in standard, I think.
Having a tough time because we're at the part of the giraffe where I think I can get kicked in the chest if I do things incorrectly.
Meaning what? What do you mean?
Oh, 1 second. I have to grab. Yeah, that's fine. I have to grab a quarterback here, even though it's a quote unquote reach. No, it's not really, but I think Daniel Jones is. It's not right. Like Daniel Jones is like the guy. I think that if you don't get Deshaun, you don't get certain people. Like you need a runner. He's a runner. Like he's a runner quarterback. He's like one of the last ones at this point for me. So as much as I would like to have grabbed like Thomas and grab Jameson on the back end, which I could have, I'd rather grab Jameson and just grab Daniel Jones on the back end.
That's fair.
I think what Daniel Jones has an opportunity to give 4 to 6 top 5 weeks, and I have to buy that.
I am gonna go ahead and reach and grab Freiermuth here. He's gonna play the Bengals twice as well as the Seahawks in week 17, which doesn't matter in this, but it's a week that this contest will be going on, so still a little bit of correlation there, and I just really like Freiermuth this year. And I like making a pick here because I passed on Kirk, and so he may not come back all the way around, but I've opened myself up now to Kenny Pickett, right? So I like kind of giving myself outs to quarterback stacks like in that way.
It's Kenny Pickett's a year 2 guy.
He's slightly mobile. Like he can run a little bit.
He got some rushing touchdowns. Yeah. I think someone's pulled the stat line. Forgot which channel it was. It was Ian Hart by the football guys. He's like, like we make fun of Najee, but he also had like 7 touchdowns stolen from him from gadget plays and like rushing from like quarterbacks and wide receivers that could have gone to him, right? Like a goal line, like almost certainly could have gone to him. And Pickett, if he continues, he's actually semi-mobile. Like like you said, he's a semi-mobile guy. He's going into year 2. I think quarterbacks in year 2 tend to be more comfortable with running than they do in year 1. Yeah. So like if Pickett puts it together, which his combine draft profile was saying that he would be a 2-year guy. Like give him 2 years and he might really take that leap. Boom, we're in year 2. Like I'm totally fine with that. He has great weapons.
I mean, it's just too like he just has to regress some with the touchdowns and the whole offense. Like I can't imagine it being worse. But they did keep Canada, so we'll see.
Yeah, but they used the first round pick on like an old lineman,
It'll
and
help
it does quite a bit.
if he's good.
It's true. There are. I mean, I look at the Giants, the first round picks, then their old lineman was really bad, where they take a couple years. So we'll see. I don't think it could be as bad as it was before.
That's fair.
And like I said, I'd be totally open for Pickett. I do think, like I said, quarterback. I think is going to get very overrated. Sorry, underrated on these guys that can run. Like Geno Smith is a semi-runner. Kirk Cousins is a 300-yard guy. Russell is a partial runner guy too. I Jared Goff is a 300-yard guy. Like I do think that we're going to get this point where people are going to start kicking these quarterbacks away, pushing elites only. But I think if you're playing from the back end where you're taking quarterback late, you can get an advantage out of that because you can buy 4 and 3 guys that have a chance at 5 games.
Yeah, it's a good question from Helen Eckler 69. Fading any QBs in this format, late round pocket passers with capped upside.
Yes,
What are you doing? You are?
yes. Maybe not full fading, but I'm fading rookies
Gotta
straight
be
out.
stacked.
I'm fading rookies straight out. I don't want
See, I just disagree with this. Like,
I
it's
don't want Stroud. I don't want
you talking about? Are you talking about? You're talking about only rookie QBs though,
rookie
right? Not
QBs.
rookie. Okay,
No, I'm
that's
fading
true.
rookie quarterbacks. I'm fading rookie quarterbacks straight out. I think they're not worth really having at this point. I'm probably fading Jordan Love because we don't know anything about him. At least I don't. If you do, great. I don't. Um,
That team has so many good offensive players though that he could just get brought along and have a random like 20, 25 point weeks. Like I don't
Jordan
know if
Love.
it. I think he could. They have good. I mean, Christian Watson is good. Aaron Jones is good. AJ Dillon. People are excited about Musgrave. I know he's a rookie tight end. I think he's got enough good offensive weapons that I'm not. I'm not gonna fade him
I
because we
don't think
don't
they
know.
contribute to him. I think Watson does. I don't know enough about Dubs. Don't care enough about Reed. Musgrave, sure, whatever. Jones, that's definitely a plus. AJ Dillon, he did get a lot of targets towards the end of the season. He was averaging 3 targets. Like, sure, it's all very plausible. I just don't think I'm going to go for it. I feel like we have such much more certain options, like 300-yard guys, 3 touchdown guys per week. I don't think Jordan Love feels like a 3 touchdown kind of guy to me. If he was a runner, it'd be a different story. But I'm feeling like I'm fading like rookie quarterback straight out, so that I'll let people waste their picks on them. Rogers has been a toss up, but I do have to think that since he was an MVP just a year ago, that he could still be the guy. So other than that, I don't think I'm fading a lot of guys. I'll probably fade Mac Jones. Right, obviously Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Baker, those the usual guys that you're probably fading already. Stacked or not, I would fade them straight out.
Yeah.
You?
I'm not as much if it's stacked. That's the only reason though. I don't want to just be tacking on QBs at the end just to kind of fill out the position or take shots. Like they can help advance in normal best ball if they can give you like a 15, 18 point week on a bye week or something like that. But in this, like it really needs to be stacked up, especially like say if I miss out on the elites and I'm doing like a 4 QB build, which I think is more viable in this format.
I just love how you just passed on Kirk again to take Damien Harris. Good.
Well, I mean, I have a theory of why. So I keep to take Kirk at the 1 hole.
Well, he has 3 quarterbacks already.
Yeah. So that was my theory. Was he had already taken 2, but I mean, I have another out. We'll see. It was a risky play, but we'll see.
I was considering taking him on the way back anyways, but I wasn't going. I didn't, obviously. I was considering it. I'm going to grab Russ.
Hoping you don't start this run on quarterbacks here for me because there is one more.
I mean, you still have Geno, Rogers, Goff. That's another really good one there too.
Yeah.
I think Russ.
I'm gonna take one of the two. There's 2 quarterbacks left I can take and talk myself into a stack. But we'll see. Warren goes.
See, this is like Warren's not a guy I would take in this.
I see. I think he's a great guy to take in this.
I think if you're taking him, you have to think Najee Harris. Like if that's the theory,
I think that's
fine.
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Theory to have though. Like you're getting the direct handcuff for a guy. Like I don't want to say he's who has been injured, and so hopefully he doesn't get injured. Yeah. But I think he's the perfect guy to take in this because he's a direct handcuff.
Warren missed 1 game last year. In the game that he did miss, Anthony McFarland came up and kind of did a little bit of work. I think McFarland's game kind of gets lost in the sauce too because he did pretty well too on his one game. He's a direct handcuff, but I do think it becomes like instead of like Najee getting like 70 to touches, I think it becomes like a 60-40 where it's gonna be Warren with like McFarland or something. I don't know if he gets like the
Possibly. I mean, I
full
think it's going to be
greater.
60-40 anyway,
Yeah.
with Najee and Warren both healthy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I think it's gonna
I just
be
disagree. I know, like, you don't think he'll get the. We just
no, no.
disagree
So
on this.
my thing is not that the 60-40 isn't there. I think the 60-40 is going to be there, but it's going to be a different touch ratio, right? I think the plays be called. There's more run plays called if Najee's there. I think there's less run plays called if it's Anthony McFarland and Jalen Warren. I don't think they're calling 30 run plays. I think they're calling like 20, 25.
I mean, that's fine with me because also Jalen Warren is a really good pass catcher, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
I don't know. I
was
see,
including
to
those in
me,
there.
like,
But yeah.
I mean, I just think direct handcuffs who could actually get work, and I know you disagree that who would get that much work, but
No, I think he would
I'm
get the
not.
direct. Jalen Warren is the direct handcuff. I've never said he wasn't.
Well, I know, but
Yeah,
I'm saying, like, I think he would get more of a workload than I feel like you think he's going to get if Najee were to go down.
I think if it was like 5'11", I would think so. It's like 5'8". I don't know. It's tough.
Austin Eckler's tiny too.
Yeah, but also Eckler is like purely elite. Well, he's one of a kind right now.
I mean, he is, but it could be the same thing. We'll see.
Just because one person has said that this is the comparison to Melvin Gordon, also you cannot use Jalen Warren as the future Austin Eckler. Like
It's
Austin
a fun
Eckler
dream to have.
It's a dream. All right, I'll give you that. That's a fun dream. I just don't think we can compare guys to what Austin Eckler's been doing.
No, Austin Eckler, yeah, go to be undrafted like he is, and to have, the come up he had. He is very much a one of a kind prospect. But
Eckler's at least 5'10". Okay, like Jalen Warren's 5'8".
That's fair. Hey, next turn.
He's stouter though. I will say that. One thing I do like is that like
he's
Warren's
stout.
like a stout little guy. Like he's 5'8".
Yeah, he is.
Well, my tight end went. I was planning on getting a second tight end here. I think that was good.
I love Kendrick picks like Kendrick Miller and Tank Bigsby as well. Like those guys who could just get all of the work. And I know it's less likely with Kendrick because you got two guys to compete with. But there's been a little bit of negative stuff with him not being fully recovered from injury. But I think there is a chance he could take over the Saints backfield. Let's see.
Let's see what this guy grabs. Rushing runs. Yeah, I had a feeling. I
feel like I know who you want to take. Mims, I like that. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Good stack.
I want to get Dulcich into Mims, but I had a feeling Dulcich was going to come back. I was considering Van Jeff and Mims here, but I do believe, as much as I think that Kelsey's solo white tight end, I think my receivers are weak enough that Kelsey just flies into flex.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having Kelsey at flex. I feel like that's so much stronger than it gets counted for. That's why I think it's Everett. I think Dulcich would have been so much better to have. Dulcich, I think, is going to have such a great season.
I am excited about Dulcich as well.
Yeah. Van Jeff is one I would have taken there. I do think he's one of those deep shot guys that ends up my flex for 15. But I'm not too stoked on that. I was considering another running back there also. But a lot of guys that I would have taken just don't make sense for this team. Like Devin Singletary doesn't make sense for my Dameon Pierce team unless I'm handcuffing myself, which is like, I guess that's fair, but it's not fair. Like I think that's just bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that as much in this.
Yeah. I
mean, it's not the worst though, because like you don't need. There could be a given week where I don't know. I'm thinking of a way to explain it. The way it could be viable, like it is tough. It wouldn't be something I would do as much.
I wouldn't do it at all. Like generally, I might do it like once or twice because it's just like Devin Singletary fell so far that I can get him for basically nothing. That would be better than me taking like Pierre Strong or something.
Well, I would think like the reason you could do it in this is like you don't need the contribution weeks from both guys to get you to advance. So it's totally fine if Dameon Pierce goes down, you have his backup. but short you out other weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, bigger field size too. That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 200K field.
Yeah,
Like
you
that's
need
how
like
we.
every shot you can get to get to the top 10.
There we go. Thank you for that. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, it doesn't seem right. And I think when you put it just those numbers, there's
Yeah,
260,000 guys I got to beat out.
yeah.
Like,
You got to
I
remind
can.
yourself of that. Like this is a, it's not like you're in your pod anymore, which is obvious, but it's good to remind yourself. Not as much correlation here. I've got Joe Burrow stacked up 3 ways with a little bit of AFC North, got some NFC West and NFC North. I've got a few divisions kind of stacked. Um,
I do love seeing like these draft rooms just get really weird though. Like,
yeah,
this is like the most fun part about this. It's just like, hey, who's doing what? Who knows? Whatever. We got a guy with Lamar Dak Kirk. Screw it, YOLO. Like, no, he took my Rashid Shaheed. I hate you.
this is a great pick in this format.
You're such a monster.
Did you have Carr? I know
No,
you have
I had
Olave.
Olave. I didn't grab Carr for this. I think he's always kind of on the bottom end of these 25-point games. He's had a few. 2 years ago, he was like just killing it. But this is a more of a two quarterback team, anyways.
Yeah.
Crap. Do I want to grab this? These butthole. I don't like. Yeah, that's fine. I don't like them.
Oh shit.
Same with grabbing Shark here. I'm just not a Shark guy. I just
Yeah, I
don't know.
really liked him in Big Board. And then when he went to Carolina, it was less enticing, and he didn't end up getting as big a contract as I thought he was going to get. And didn't he have surgery as well?
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he had like
I was trying to
shoulder or
think he
something.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. What's up? How are we doing tonight, fam?
What is up, man? Okay, so this is probably one of the few times I would do this. The double thing is this one, just because I just think I get like 7 games out of each of these guys. I really believe we're gonna get 50-50 good games out of these stupid Dolphins.
I agree.
Because this
What
is
about, and they're mentioning in the chat, the Giants receivers, which I know you still can grab them late, but I think this is kind of like a mode, yeah, a game mode where you can take like 3 or 4 Giants receivers too. It limits
I
some weeks, but um,
I would grab the ones that you think that get above 4 touchdowns on the season. I don't know, like, so when I look at Darius Slayton's numbers, right? Like Slayton's, we all like Slayton because he's like that speedster. I could get down there, but I think on a per season basis, he hasn't really gotten many touchdowns. Uh, like Hodgins is a guy that I think is probably going to be underrated. Played out of the slot, played all this, could be the whiteout, but I want the guys who I believe can get touchdowns because either way, it's a high scoring thing. It's all about the high
yeah,
score. So that's all
Slayton,
I generally care. And
yeah.
Slayton might not get touchdowns. He might get, and this is what I hate about him. He'll go 50 yards, get pushed out of bounds, and then it's like Richie James gets the touchdown, Isaiah Hodgins gets a touchdown, Saquon gets there, right? Like Slayton for some reason never just goes all the way. He's like 50 yards and down. Um, so I don't know if I want Slayton. I think I want like Hodgins, like 66 for 60 and a touchdown kind of
I
guy.
mean, you did. That's what we're asking. That you just had him there.
I didn't take him.
I
Yeah,
know. I'm just saying he
yeah,
was one of
oh,
the
yeah,
top receivers in the queue.
yeah. It's definitely plausible. I just needed the running backs. My running backs are kind of junk at the moment. Hyatt was someone I would take if we know what his profile
He'll
is.
probably come back to you.
Yeah.
I've taken him twice in this already.
I've been a little goofy at the back end here.
I'm cornering the market on NFC North running backs. I've got a Vikings running back, a Bears running back, a Lions running back.
I got also for Daniel Jones, he's like completely naked for me. I would take him with Darren Waller though. Like I've been trying to find a way to get Waller, but Waller gets taken earlier than I always expect him to be. And it kind of sucks because I'm like, oh, like I said, this is the draft where I'm taking guys I don't normally take, and Waller's one of them. I'm like, I would like to take Waller. Would like to take more elite tight end. Obviously, in this case, I had Kelsey. There was no need to reach for Waller.
I'm trying to decide who I want to take here. Not in love with any of these picks, man. The quarterbacks really like Carr's here, 44 picks past
Yeah,
ADP.
and like I said, I think
Makes
these guys.
sense,
It
kind of.
does and it doesn't, right? Like it's so I saw Russ, like I said, 40 picks past one round. And I think if you're gonna play this game knowing that people are just gonna take certain people, like these certain guys, I would study spike weeks, which is one hated tips, and I study spike weeks all the time with my contribution guys, and I would buy like Goff, Carr, Wilson. If you know these three were like the ones that are always falling, right? Like I would buy those three guys because I know these guys have had opportunities, 1 in 3 shots per season to be a top 5 to 8 finish.
I am sorry to do this to you, but he's the only player here that I want.
Go take Hyatt.
Yeah.
Go, just do it. No, it's fine.
The part of
Whatever,
the board
man.
was gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's bad.
You still got Slate in there.
I'm not gonna take him.
And
Like I said,
Wando.
I just literally was just like he's a guy that falls. Like I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but it's 17th, 18th round, I think, like at some point. I don't know. I feel like I would want dime stacked. I feel like even if he's gonna do it rushing, but like the weeks he has 40, he's probably gonna have 2 or 3 passing touchdowns, which could go again to Saquon, Waller. It doesn't have to be to just Slayton.
Oh, damn it. That's who I wanted. I wanted Hardman. Ah, man. Should have just taken Hardman. Son of a B. I did not think he was gonna take him. Fine. I'll grab. Ugh. I'll grab Slayton. No, you know what? No, screw this.
Yeah, don't take him if you want him.
No, we're taking the guy who got paid. Parker season, baby. We're getting that paid guy. He's been falling. I've been finding that kind of weird. I thought in this format of all that people would take Devontae Parker.
I think it makes sense. I still think the Hopkins stuff is still out there. There's a lot of reporting that this signing doesn't mean they're out on Hopkins. That they still actually opened up cap space more with the signing. So I don't believe they're out on Hopkins all the way. So, but I mean, we know Parker's going to be around.
In this, yeah, we just know he's going to be around this year. We know that they believe in him enough to give him, what was it, like $12 million this year, like, or something. We just made the case for Odell making 15. I can make the case for Parker at 12. It's like the same idea.
Yeah,
it sucks, feels gross. And in the games he did play, like, I hate to admit it, right? Like that's why I like McCall Hardman. Like McCall Hardman only played like 7 games, but in 4 of those games he was like just really, really good, and it sucked. Corey Davis is another one of those guys I would consider. And I think it feels bad, but it is what it is. Fucking Devontae Parker got paid. I still can't believe that.
He did, but we kind of talked about it.
For a year.
It's like it basically was just it's 11 mil a season, but it's only 14 guaranteed. So basically this first year, and then some change after it.
It's for a year. He's a 30-year receiver. We know what he is.
Yeah, it just gave him a little boost for this season.
But I would draft him. If I can get Devontae Parker every draft, I probably will.
Every draft in this.
If I could.
I don't know. We just play. I would not take him in every draft.
If I could, I would. If I could get him very late, and it's just grossness down here, like it's Tim Patrick, Josh Downs,
I will say though, like looking at all these quarterbacks, and I know, look, it's the rookies who you don't like. It's Ritter, it's Mac, but I mean, there's probably better chance in the 18th round that these guys give you a week, and it may not be a week that gets you to the top 10, but maybe it gets you to the top 500, the top 100 with their week. I don't know.
Ritter,
maybe that's too best ball-y, standard best ball thinking.
I think Ritter, I would. I think the Parker, has a better shot than most of the other receivers. Like I don't want to take Wandale. if Parker's down there, I don't know. Like we know what he is. We know he can put up like 100-yard games and possibly a touchdown.
Your boy Slayton might come all the way back. I don't know what your roster construction is like.
I mean, at that point, I'd take him, but I don't really like it. I was considering, like I said, I wish I could have got like McCole Hardman into Devontae Parker. That would have made me happy. Oof.
This roster I'm building is a little bit more just balanced, I think, than some of my other ones that had true galaxy brain like theories going into it, which ended up stacking a few different divisions.
MTM Revolt made a really good point. Will all these QBs be 8% owned in DFS though?
That's fair.
Yeah, like I said, like I might just let those guys go. Like I just
Yeah, they wouldn't be.
when like I said, when I do the numbers for like the rookies and stuff, I'm not in with it. It has to be a runner, and even then, I don't think we've seen many running quarterbacks in their first year. And without like pointing to like these crazy outlier guys, as the point isn't about outliers. We can guess outliers, then you're winning fantasy, right? Like I could predict when like Justin Herbert was going to be the nuts. I got him around 18, like in in rookie years. Stuff like I can't predict that. I'm always
That's
going to
fair.
take the field on those kind of guys.
That's fair. And this is a good point. Would they be 8% on DFS? Definitely not. They would not all equally
Yeah,
be
I
owned.
think Ritter be worth taking though.
I do
Like
think this is different
Ritter,
though, because these rosters are way big. It's way bigger than a DFS roster. But
I mean, I guess I got Slayton. All right, I was gonna
especially,
take Corey Davis.
I think Slayton's a much better pick than Corey Davis, especially with your team.
No, yeah, with my team specifically. But I've been taking a lot of these like unwanted Jets players down here because they've been really good for that. Like we talk about like the Giants. I was gonna say the other side of New York actually has some very high upside guys going for nothing, like McCall Hardman, and Corey Davis. If Corey Davis is still on this team when season starts, um, he's been a high upside guy too. And he did this with like Joe Flacco and Zach Wilson. Like, what can he do with Aaron Rodgers? Oh, I
So
kind of wish he could Terrace
I'm gonna
Marshall.
kind of break down my team, and then we'll just flip over to yours. So my quarterbacks are Burrow and Geno. I stacked up Burrow with Higgins, Boyd, and Irv, and Geno with DK and Noah Fant. And then I did a little bit of NFC North stuff in the running back room here with Gibbs, Madison, Foreman. I have Addison as well. So I like that a lot, and Musgrave kind of stacking up that division. And then let's see, Damian Harris and Kendra Miller, just upside bets. Damian Harris can easily have those 2 touchdown games
Mm-hmm.
that you need. So I think he's a really good pick in this. And then Kendra Miller, hoping that he kind of takes over that backfield at some point this year as more of like a one-off. Obviously, got Cooper Cup, just absolute stud. Love to have Cooper Cup any chance you get. And then I love getting these deep shot guys and Shaheed and Hyatt in this format as opposed to others. And I did take 4 tight ends in this one. Um, it's something more I'm willing to do more, just with knowing you got to get to the top, and you really do need. You don't just need to like get by at the tight end position. Like you actually have to get a guy who catches a touchdown to get you towards the top. So having more shots at that, I think, makes a ton of sense because it's not just gonna, getting 5 or 6 points isn't gonna just work in this as much.
I would even argue getting less than 10 isn't going to do anything for you,
Yeah.
right? You're looking at, we're looking at rosters that are trying to get 190, 200 points. And on what God's green earth does like 7 points help me with that?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna be taking more 4 tight end builds in this mode for sure.
Yeah, you're buying touchdowns, right? So, quarterback's a little bit on the weaker side. I got DJ, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson. I'm banking on Russ running. I know people are out on him. I think I wanted 2 guys that can scramble, can get rushing touchdowns, that have the opportunity at 3 touchdowns per week. I think Daniel Jones and Russell Wilson both clear that. My running backs, Tony Pollard and Damian Pierce. Tony Pollard, for obviously Tony Pollard is everybody loves him deep down. On a week to week basis, we know Tony Pollard in this given situation could be a 20-point guy. Then Damian Pierce, year 2 breakout. I actually didn't talk about this much on it, but he could be a year 2 breakout guy. As much as I like to bet on Singletary on one side, I do see an argument that Pierce could just be this crazy good plotter. Throw in some P Ryan, I P Ryan is P Ryan. I need some backup tight running backs that can come in here and do some work. So actually, P Ryan if Javonte Williams doesn't come back, got him at a small drop. Raheem Mostert Wilson. I still think these 2 guys run that backfield. I do think we're gonna get these weird week like we saw last year, where it's a Mostert week, it's a Wilson week, it's a Mostert week, it's a Wilson week, and I'm banking that like these are the 2 guys to do it with, and they cost you nothing. Throwing Gus, we know Gus is getting some good camp news. Gus has had some good analyst news lately. I've been taking Gus all season. I'm going to take him here. If Dobbins things doesn't work out, Gus's has great efficiency numbers, great buttups, and once again a direct handcuff.
Yeah.
Um, this is the part where I think people are getting a little controversial with. I'm taking all the tall big guys that go fast. Chris Olave, Drake London, DJ Moore. I want red zone guys. I want the ones. These are all wide receiver ones on their team. Then I followed up with the speedster guys: Gabe Davis, Jameson Williams, Marvin Mims, and Darius Slayton, and the 50-50 ball guy Devontae Parker. Like I'm trying to buy as much upside. I think you can make a case that you could do better things, but I did kind of try to stack my bye weeks enough. I got a couple bye weeks 13s, bye weeks 11s, 7s, and 9s. It's going to be kind of rough on some those specific weeks, but I think other weeks I can get by, like weeks one
And
through
again,
six.
like punting a
Weeks
couple weeks doesn't matter as much because you're not,
I'm playing for
we're
13
not
out of
we're not advancing, right?
yeah,
So it's okay. You have a team that doesn't compete for a week in this format.
and then of course I banked on Travis Kelsey. We talked about him for like a good 10 minutes. He's a guy that's probably going to be contributor the first 12. The little extra of why I grabbed Rod Ever here, because that's the question that's going to come up, is one, I want Kelsey to possibly hit flex. We know Kelsey, if he was a wide receiver, he's a top six, top seven wide receiver on any given week basis, if not better. So in the event Gerard ever gets a good week, everyone's high on this Chargers offense. If if Gerard ever finds himself into a 13-point game, 14-point week, then I get Travis Kelsey, who's probably in a 14, 20-point game in my flex.
Yeah.
And I think taking advantage of that to extent will be helpful. Is it super clutch? No, but I do want some outs. Some of my wide receivers did fall off a little bit. I am taking a 6 negative week at Jameson Williams, so this is how I balance that out.
I think that makes total sense. I really like this team. And like you said, I think that's kind of underrated of looking at the archetype of players, the wide receiver ones taking, bigger players who have a better chance at touchdowns on a half PPR site.
The
It's really
alphas,
smart.
half PPR was another. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So half PPR, alpha type guys. I think that's a good part of our show. I think these teams that we drafted are pretty legit.
Yeah, I do too.
Sadly, we didn't get to review any of our buddies.
Oh, we can.
Oh.
We can pull it back up.
Let's do Fantasy Football Garage. Chris, he drafted. Oh shoot, that is a pretty cool team actually.
Where? Which one?
He is number 103. He drafted. He's 103.
Yeah, man. Let's see.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, Anthony Richardson, and QB. Gotta love that start.
So
I mean, it's so good in this.
So much upside.
Yeah. Mixon, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, Tank, Gainwell, CPAT. I love all these backs for different reasons. Really like, Warren, Tank, like we talked about, is direct handcuffs. And Gainwell is a guy who could just lead the Eagles backfield. Like, we know there's some questions. Now he's not necessarily going to be a great touchdown guy, but they did just ride him sometimes in and around the goal line. So I think
did have a couple of 20-point gains, I believe, right? It was like really random, but he did
he
have
did in the playoffs as well.
Probably the playoffs.
Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, McLaurin, Pickens. Again, kind of like alphas. I mean, Devonta Smith, he is. I know he's the wide receiver 2 on his own team, but he is such a good player, and so I wouldn't be worried about not having the alpha on that team. Alec Pierce, great deep shot guy, and then gets his late Buffalo correlation picks. I really like doing this with Shakir and Hardy. If you get the random 2 touchdown game from them to go with Josh Allen, that could be super strong.
I want to pause a little bit on Pickens. So Pickens is a guy that I'm not normally high on. In this build, I am though, right? Pickens had touchdowns. So we talk about Deontay Johnson's regressions. George Pickens didn't actually have them, right? He's a better talent than Chase Claypool. He's a guy that made some really sick catches, highlight guy, 70 yards and a touchdown on that kind of guy. Pickens, I think, fits this mold better than Deontay Johnson. If you think that Pat F and Najee and Pickens start getting their touchdowns, I think the guy that loses them is Deontay.
Yeah.
So good pick on that one too.
That was good. This was a fun draft. I don't know if I noticed anything super out of the ordinary happening.
Besides 101. 101 was the weird one.
Yeah. Lamar, Dak, Kirk.
You see the receivers. See the receivers. You'll laugh.
Jefferson, Hopkins, Michael Thomas. I wouldn't draft this receiver room. And we have a question mark what they got there in the 18th. This bug is so annoying.
Rashee Rice was wide receiver 4 for that team.
Do mine at 4. All right. Too cool.
Oh, you mean Sniper McGee over here? No, screw him.
CMC, Mahomes, Ramondre, love the start. there. See how he recovered at wide receiver. Sean
Deep
Watson's
shot.
mine.
4 deep shot receivers: Christian Watson, Mike Williams, Mike Evans, Quentin Johnson.
Well, Quinn Johnson is a deep shot guy, but
Yeah,
he is more of a catch and run.
he's
But
a
he can
catch and
make
run
big
guy.
plays.
Big plays. Big plays.
You stacked up Sky Moore, who's getting tons of camp buzz with Patrick Mahomes, and of course Juju giving. I don't know if you saw that, giving Sky Moore the bump as well today, in an interview he did. Let's see, Kamara, and again in this format, I think it makes a ton of sense to take guys like this. You don't have to worry about them, missing weeks if that ends up happening. A much better pick in this format. Kincaid, again, I think all the guys we don't like in best ball are better in this when it's a 1 week, season. Kincaid is totally fine. We don't need him to have that consistency.
Mitchell's another one. It could be a Mitchell week, where I can guarantee if he plays 17 games, 4 or 5 of them are going to be Mitchell weeks.
Absolutely. And then McKinnon MVS continuing to bet on Kansas City with Mahomes. I like that a lot. Cole Kmet, Chark. Got Chark to keep falling.
The not so elite Cole Kmet.
I like it. And he did do the 1 QB build with Mahomes on this team.
You took advantage of the Patrick Mahomes pick. I'm not as mad anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a fun team. I really like it. I like mixing in some 1 QB builds in this, especially when you get Mahomes.
All right, guys. Other than that, man, like, subscribe, hang out with us. We're probably gonna. Honestly, I kind of want to do this draft again. Like I said, I don't know if I'm maxing out, but I'm gonna get pretty deep in this. Shout out to UD. You guys are really
keep pushing the envelope.
And I'll top it off. Like, I think it was so tough for them to come up with a prize format for this, and then they did. Because we talked about this. Could there be a weekly thing? And everyone's like, no. They put the numbers to it, and they found out a way for make everybody happy with this. So, I'm having a good time. Hope to see you guys next week. Hope, any last words?
No, yeah, like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, we'll catch you next week. Enjoy the 4th. We might not be doing a show on Tuesday on the 4th, probably not. But yeah, everyone enjoy your week.
But why?
Well, I mean, we can celebrate Independence Day with some drafts.
Alrighty. Bye, guys.